1864, written by Tony Costoni, contributions by Alice B. Hammond, Stanley Young, and Zeta Johnson. So here's the book that all four of them wrote. And so I'm glad that she showed me this before she walked out of here, because it goes from Illinois from 1720 to 1864. So you can see that all of this stuff basically has come from four people. So thank you, Ms. Hammond, for showing me this. I'm glad you didn't walk out of here without showing me that book. Thank you very much. And so the news of the weekend is Kobe Bryant. Everybody's. I thought I got Texas Sunday, and I thought it was some kind of a hoax, you know. So I wasn't true. I didn't know how true it was that Kobe had perished in a helicopter crash, and so I was, so I turned the news on, and right away it was on the news. So I said, well, I got like 5 or 6, 10, 15 texts in 1 minute that Kobe had perished in a helicopter. So I said, man, is this some kind of hoax? So I cut the news on, and big as they were covering it. And it's just, I mean, so many unanswered questions in terms of Kobe in this helicopter. They say he traveled by helicopter throughout L.A. He went to all the games by helicopter. They say he didn't drive at all. Mostly everything he did was by helicopter. He would drive his girls to school, but then from there the helicopter would pick him up, take him to his workout. Helicopter would be and drop him off, and then pick him back up, and bring him to the game. And so, you know, games in L.A. start at 8 o'clock at night. And so him being in a helicopter, I guess wasn't surprising to the people who knew him. I know in 2016 somebody posted a cartoon that Kobe would die in a helicopter, and they showed this little cartoon that showed a helicopter crashing. And then the conspiracy theories are out in terms of it was an Illuminati, what do they call it, sacrifice. LeBron broke his scoring record in Philadelphia where Kobe played high school ball. LeBron had Kobe's name on his shoes, and the next day Kobe's dead. And so, you know, in the conspiracy theories, they say, well, they have these ritual kind of things they do where people will remember LeBron broke the record where Kobe started high school. And then LeBron had his shoes on, and LeBron sent him a text, next day Kobe's dead. And so there's a big pharmaceutical suit that Kobe was fighting, this pharmaceutical company that was using Black Mamba. And so they were discussing settlements. And so, but the pharmaceutical argument was he wasn't the first one to use Black Mamba. Floyd Mayweather's daddy, Roger, used it. Roger Black Mamba Mayweather, and a couple other people used it. And but Kobe was trying to settle the lawsuit with them. And so they were, as late as I think end of December, in settlement talks with this pharmaceutical company. And documents obtained, they said that as early as just back this past December, that there was a huge setback in the battle, that the United States Patent and Trademark Office denied him in an attempt to wrap up the battle. He had been fighting the pharmaceutical company, High Tech Pharmaceuticals, for years. High Tech has been attempting to trademark Black Mamba Hybrid Rush, some new pill they come out with. Bryant was fighting to get the trademark. So United States Patent and Trademark Office shut down Kobe's motion for summary judgment, asking for them to void high-tech trademark applications. They said the case would move forward and the parties would go to trial. They believe the evidence shows that there's still much to be determined. And so with that, with this battle, you know, Michael Jackson was in a battle with Sony. Prince was in a battle with Warner Brothers. and and so the industry, in terms of what's the boy's name, the father of gangster rap, what's his name, Eazy-E.
Yes, sir.
Died in '95. Tupac died in '96. Biggie died in '97. I mean, so there's in terms of, if you're going to be a conspiracy theorist, in terms of, and then you probably now got all the bloggers and all the Facebook investigators, YouTube investigators trying to come up with some rhyme to reason that, Kobe was, LeBron just broke his record in Philadelphia where Kobe played high school ball, and LeBron wore the shoes with Kobe's name on it the night he broke the record, and Kobe texts LeBron the next, that night. Kobe goes to church on Sunday morning, gets in the helicopter, and it crashes.
Mm-hmm.
So Kobe said that, I guess Black Mamba is a species of snakes,
Mm-hmm.
and that
one of the deadliest.
Yeah. So, but he said he got out of Quentin Tarantino movie.
Mm-hmm.
But Black Mamba is also the nickname of Roger Mayweather,
Mm-hmm.
Floyd's daddy. And so I guess the fight is that in 2015, the pharmaceutical company, High Tech Pharmaceuticals, filed the trademark Black Mamba Hybrid Rush to use to sell a line of infrared-based diet pills.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe's team filed a trademark for his Black Mamba, the same name 1 year after High Tech. So High Tech filed for the rights first, for the trademark first.
Mm.
So they've been battling this thing since 2017 after Bryant demanded their trademark be not approved, fearing it would cause confusion to his consumers. They argued that most people connect Black Mamba to him, and even, and so it's funny because, if this pharmaceutical company is calling him a bully, accusing him of overreaching his trademark rights, maliciously trying to block theirs. So the battle goes on. Even Beyonce is fighting for a battle over Blue Ivy, her daughter's name. There's some stuff going on with that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
With Beyonce and Blue Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
you know what's really crazy, Harold?
Yeah.
The 12-year-old girl that played on the team with Kobe's daughter that they don't mention that was on the plane. Me and TC was just talking about it. There was several other people on there. But corporate America wants you to look at just Kobe.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because from what I understand and from what I've read,
Mm-hmm.
is that there were only 3 bodies intact.
Mm.
And that was Kobe, his daughter, and the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And they said Kobe had his arms around his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of them allegedly were burnt beyond recognition.
Mm-hmm.
So said the bodies, Kobe's body and daughter was 600 feet from the other bodies.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 2 baseball diamonds.
Yeah.
To have the wreckage 600 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I don't know that to be true in terms of saying that they burn up, or are they burned beyond recognition. All they said, there were 3 bodies that were intact, which say to me that Kobe was sitting and his daughter was sitting there with the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
If those 3 bodies were intact.
Yeah.
It would, they showed the inside of the helicopter, and it looks like a luxury limousine in terms of, the seats, but it don't look like 9 people could sit comfortably in there, maybe 5.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they're saying now that they have drones, looking for stuff. There was one lady, there was a baseball coach, and his wife and his daughter played. Christine Mauser, she left 3 young children behind. Sarah Chester and her daughter, and the pilot. And so, but, you know, the FBI is on the scene, so that says something too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why is the FBI on the scene of a helicopter accident?
Right.
So there's some things that when they made the announcement that the FBI was on the scene, I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
what would the FBI be doing on the scene? Because that helicopter, actually, Bruce Rauner auctioned the helicopter. It was sold from Illinois.
Mm-hmm. It's
And that-
Russian made.
Yeah, and that company that bought it for $500,000, it's a 1991. It's an old helicopter.
Mm.
But they say it's one of the safest one. It's like one of the military helicopters,
Yeah,
like the
that's-
Black Hawk.
Yeah, that's what they
So
say.
you have to really just practically just
Yeah.
bomb it down to get it down.
Right.
And so, but the other unanswered questions in terms of all the helicopters were grounded that day,
Mm.
and they had to get special clearance to go up.
Mm.
So I guess the question is, who gave them special clearance to go up? 100 flights were canceled. Airline flights were canceled out of the airport that morning. This is all before, I think, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
And they were only traveling 13 miles to get to this basketball thing, wherever they were going.
Mm.
They show the helicopter losing radar in terms of the air traffic controller. They said once it went below 1,400 feet, they couldn't pick it up. Then they picked it up, and they said he kind of zoomed up to 2,000 feet. But they said he circled around 3 times in the air trying to figure out this big cloud, they said, that, you know, he couldn't see. And the question was he was supposed to have been, the GPS system was supposed to guide him in terms of if the visibility is as bad as they say it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess there's a lot of unanswered questions. I don't know. I mean, I've never been in a helicopter, but I do know that they can sit still
Mm-hmm.
without moving.
Yes, they can.
You know, they can just sit still.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they could just be sitting. It had 800 gallons of fuel on it, so he could have sat up there for who knows how long.
Right.
And but they're saying that the radar showed him going from 1,200 feet to 2,000 feet in like seconds
Mm-hmm.
at 185 miles an hour.
Mm.
Now that had to be like getting on an elevator, going 185 miles an hour straight up.
Mhm.
That had to be a little scary,
Yeah.
you know. And so, but I guess the unanswered questions is, his mother and father allegedly had not spoken to him in 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought that was really,
Mm-hmm.
really out there.
Yeah.
In 2013, his mother and father sold his high school memorabilia for $500,000. He found out about it, filed suit against the auction house, and got it back. And then they interviewed him on ESPN, and he said, "Well, my mother and father relationship ain't nothing." You know, matter of fact, his words were, "They ain't shit."
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was kind of beyond interesting that he had that estranged relationship from his mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because the Bible does give the kids one
Yes, sir.
commandment:
Yes, sir.
honor your mother and father.
Honor.
But it also gives the father and the parents the rest of the commandments, like right after that, say, "Father, don't provoke your children."
Mm-hmm.
So, but and even in the retirement parties that he had,
Mm-hmm.
the ceremony that they did at the Staples Center, they weren't invited.
Mm-hmm.
And so they asked him, they said, "Well, why weren't you there?" They said, "We weren't invited."
Mm-hmm.
And if you listen to the speech he gave, he never mentions their name.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was disheartening.
More than that, Harold.
That the man that
Brought
and
you
and
into the
woman
earth.
that brought you in the world. I really thought, brother, I found that to be disheartening.
No matter how much money
You know,
you got.
but to not invite them to a retirement ceremony, and they said he had more than one.
Yes, sir.
He had the one where they hung the jerseys up, number 8, number 24. He had the other one where they actually had the retirement. Each NBA team that came through there, they had a ceremony with them. But when I went back and listened to his speeches, he never mentioned their name. I mean, he never mentioned my mother and father. And that was a little bit disheartening.
How could you not?
Well, I mean, Harold, if you want to give it that kind of perspective, let's look at it like this. Anytime, and I know he mimicked and he loved Michael Jordan, because when I used to see him, I used to say, well, he's imitating Michael Jordan.
He played Michael better than Michael.
Absolutely.
If you ask me.
But see, nobody, that didn't there right then and there used to tell me something about him. I liked him, but I wasn't, overjoyed, because your father and mother is your first teachers and your first heroes. I don't care what your parents do, short of killing you, that you should dishonor them. Because without them, there would be no you. And I used to see him all the time, and he would always talk about these great ball players, but see, his father was the one that really gave him the ball to start playing basketball.
Right,
so when you go to the original, right? On this show, just to digress for a second, you have all these preachers. They never tell you who taught them to be preachers. You would think that they really started on their own. Well, that's the reason they're in chaos right now in these churches, if you really want to know. And I don't get into churches. I just wanted to let that know. So, anytime your parents don't have a relationship with your kids, and these are not people on the ground. I mean, they not out there drugging or whatever. And if they sold it, they was probably selling it because they needed the money. But you had enough money. Money, to your parents, I could say, well, my brothers and sisters, some of them, forget them. But your parents, Harold, and then you don't invite them to none of your ceremonies and nothing. You don't say, that's my mom and dad. One thing about Michael Jordan, you said on this show, and you have to see the correlation here. Even though he did what you say he did, Michael Jordan still got for his father.
Oh, without a doubt.
See what I'm getting at? Yeah, so when you're looking at things in the right perspective, we could tell a long time ago something was wrong with that picture.
Well, I just got an email here that says that Kobe's ex-coach said that Kobe and his father were starting to reconcile, which that's good, because I would hope that they had some discussion, but to go public and say your mom and daddy relationship with you ain't shit. And say that on ESPN. I mean, he said that on ESPN. Yeah. And you came out of the very loins of this man, and this woman carried you for 9 months, and everything that you are, you owe to them. I just thought that was a little disheartening. But I'm sure conspiracy theories will be rocking and rolling in terms of, and there's one thing they say it hit the mountain, hit the side of the mountain, or I don't think it may be months, it may be before they find out exactly what took place in terms of, they said it didn't have a black box in the helicopter.
Okay.
And then two, was it a mechanical issue with the helicopter? I mean, it's a 1991.
Okay, so again, Harold, guess what we have to do, Doc? We have to rely on somebody that we don't know. We don't have to trust them to sell us a story that we must believe. Well, what happened to him happened to him a long time ago when he first dishonored his father and his mother. I mean, if you really want to know, it ain't the accident ain't what happened to him. The accident happened a long time ago, Harold. And so the accumulation is, he took his daughter up. He's a fantastic human being. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, we got young people. We got a young baby that got shot in the head last night, 1 year old. I mean, if you want to talk about something, this man didn't even make a decision. He has never made one decision in his whole life that he could sign off and you could arrest him for, you could charge him for, and he's fighting for his life right now. This gentleman had an opportunity. You saying reconcile. Man, I don't know what kind of home he was raised in, because I didn't have a choice in my house. Like it or not, I got a beat down. I mean, being honest. I mean, disrespect our parents, that's a no-no. And that's how come our race is like it is today, Harold.
Well, the first thing was the first thing was the mother never wanted him to marry Vanessa.
That's right.
Right.
And the father.
Tell the truth now.
They didn't want that.
Tell the truth. That's where it started.
It all started there.
That's right.
And right there, because she was 16 when he met her. Matter of fact, she couldn't even finish her senior year there because they said Kobe would fly in a helicopter above the school when she was a senior, and
Right.
and they knew it was him, and so but it was, she ended up being homeschooled that final year, but it was his mother and father was totally against them being married.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know if that's because
That's the truth.
I think she's part German and part Mexican, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I think the father's white, mother's Mexican.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know, but
I mean, that's the truth, though, Harold. That's where it all started. When
it started there.
watch this. If you go back and get the pictures, he was always with his mother and father coming up. When it got to that point, and I can recall, because you brought it up, that was the division. Because they had a big old whoop-de-doo. And they didn't want him to marry her.
Right.
The mother, they didn't
they
approve
weren't public
of her.
with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then for a while they accepted her because remember it was an incident, and then they showed he wasn't ready, and then he went back with his wife and they got back together and blah, blah, blah. And then maybe he thought, well, my parents, was running my life. But damn, you just said without his parents, he wouldn't have a life. I'm trying to figure out which part of this story we should be talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's she, to be a video vixen at 16. I mean, this girl was in videos at that age, and so she was hired in the summer of I think Snoop Dogg hired her, and so I guess when the mother found out that she was a video vixen, the mother kind of got, but the mother came out and just said, I want you to marry a black woman. I mean, that's what the mother said.
She sure did.
Sounds kind of sound like King, huh? King family.
And then later on he said, your mother and father shouldn't be managing you in terms of your life or your business. And he said never hire your mother and father as managers. Now, one of the things too, I know when he was young, he came into the league at 17. So one of the trainers said that they couldn't do anything to him without talking to his mother. Like if he had an injury, they said you couldn't even give him a pill without his mother saying, well, he wasn't grown yet. So mother like, oh, okay, yeah.
She had responsibility. That's the law.
Yeah, they were all over him.
That's right.
And so that was, and that's
making
to be
the right
expected.
decisions.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he came out and said, never let your mother and father be your managers in a career, which I kind of like, okay, he said that because maybe the trainers was like, they said we couldn't give him any treatment without talking to her first.
But Harold, let's stop right there for a minute. She's seen what happened to her husband when he played for the 76ers, so she had not only knowledge but experience, right? And so do you blame her? A lot of times these young ball players get these medicines have an adverse effect on them, correct, Harold? So what was she doing wrong? She's saying, listen, he might play for you, but I'm the one that carried him for 9 months. I want to know what happens to him because they can give you any kind of thing. What they do to the football players, they be injured, they go in the locker room, and then you see them running back out, and you say, damn.
Right. Well,
that's just like that boy from the Ravens quarterback, Harold, when he was at Louisville. His mother said he's not going to be a running back or a kicker.
And just like too when they tried to make Michael Jackson turn on his daddy. Yeah. And Michael was like, where that stuff come from?
Right.
Because of Joe Jackson, Michael became who he was.
Right.
So.
Harold, let me read something off to you. Do you remember George Gervin?
Yeah.
Elgin Baylor.
The Iceman?
Yeah, Elgin Baylor. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Walt Frazier, Earl Monroe, who I patterned after, Nate Archibald, Willis Reed, Oscar Robertson, Julius Erving, Will Chamberlain, and Bill Russell. Do you know they made $10,000 and they played their heart out? Could nobody that you named today come in the gym and hold a gym bag? These people getting $100 million.
Well, they said he made, what, $680 million in the
Yes,
NBA?
sir. That's all I was saying.
Plus endorsements total. He's made almost $750 million.
Yes, sir.
He's made some good investments. I think Body Armor, he was one of the lead investors in that 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So he's made some good decisions in terms of his investment. And so he's probably got some smart people around him. But the question now is who's going to get, allegedly, in the future, maybe $2 billion.
Yes, sir.
And so TC, Red, and Doc,
Come on
do y'all
now.
see?
Come on.
Do y'all see the parents now?
Come on now.
Getting involved?
Can't.
And
I did this before, Harold.
Do the parents get
Parents
involved?
have no say. So he was married. The wife has all the rights. They don't. The wife. I went through this with a policewoman, and I'm gonna tell you something. I fought tears, brother. The lady makes all the decisions. It's his wife now, right? And I'm not badgering the wife. I don't know her, but see, you said some deep stuff that you've been talking about since I've been on your show. You talk about the respect of our black women, and when they see these women out there, the lady says, "I don't want a daughter-in-law raising my grandkids if she has no respect for herself." And we talk about these women scantily clad. We say, how do you sit in a video and a man call you a B or a W and you gyrating in the air, and then you want to come home to someone that you're going to be with for the rest of your life, but my mother told me this, Harold, and I think I mentioned on your show before. She said, don't no man want no other man to see for free what he pays for. He said, because if he's seeing it for free, why would I pay for it? And Harold, not only him, we got to look at the league as it keeps evolving all the time, and they take our people away from us. They put them out in these communities.
Corporate.
See what I'm getting at? And so now they got this big old thing that they love him. Corporate. And we all love him. We love all our people. But see, the thing of it is corporate, we got a lot of people that don't make it and doing good work in our community.
Well, let me say something, too. And I want to talk about this maybe tomorrow in the Ghetto Gospel.
Yes, sir.
God told Samson, who told you to marry that Philistine?
That's right.
God told Samson that.
That's right.
In Judges 14, he said Samson desired to take this young Philistine as a wife, despite his parents urging him to reconsider and marry one of your own. It's in the Bible. All through the Bible, God talks about.
That's us.
Amos talks about. Nehemiah talks about marrying outside of your race.
That's right.
It's in the Bible.
Blackbird don't marry white birds.
And said, though he insisted on marrying this Philistine, the Bible actually goes on to say his parents did not know this was from the Lord in terms of his occasion to confront this Philistines, but God told him, you could marry one of the enemy. And so the lessons in the Bible are there throughout the Bible.
Yeah.
In terms of marrying outside of your race. And I'm not saying, I know love transcends all, but before I take the call, I'm going to go to the calls. But I want to say this real quick.
Go ahead.
Eddie Winters was fired yesterday as a Harvey police chief.
Yeah.
Eddie Winters. Now,
that's my man.
Eddie has went out there and done drug stings and done some real good stuff out there.
Yeah.
And Eddie has been a good brother I've been knowing Eddie 25 years. And I'm going to share something with y'all about this brother. I had a beauty barbershop at 5935 West Madison. And if y'all remember, back in the 90s, one of the Walgreens heirs died on Mason and Madison.
That's right.
And a couple other people died in this particular building on the corner of Mason and Madison.
That's right.
Well, Diane Burns was in there getting high. Worked for Channel 7.
Okay.
Eddie Winters took her out of that house and did not take her to the police station. He took her to a rehab clinic. Now, that brother could have took that sister, and it would have been all over the news.
She would have been through.
That Diane Burns was in the drug house that the Walgreens heirs died in.
She through.
Diane Burns. And so I know, because when when he came in the shop, he's always come in the shop. He said, man, you ain't gonna believe who was in the drug house. I said, who? He said, Diane Burns. And I'm not putting her business out. I'm just saying what kind of brother he was.
Yeah.
And because he took her to the Salvation Army on Ashland and said, I need her to be in rehab. Can you imagine the thing and the face that he saved? Because she did stay in there for a whole year. But it was never, ever put in the news that she was in the drug house.
She had a problem, right.
That she had a drug problem.
That was my district.
And so this brother, I mean, when I saw him do that, I knew he was special because he said, man, I wasn't going to take that sister. He said the news cameras would have been there and she would have been embarrassed
No publicity.
for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And so,
We always want to shine.
and so that brother,
No,
Eddie Winters,
Yeah.
stand-up guy, much respect, and for whatever reason, he's not in Harvey, and whatever reason the mayor decided to get rid of him, trust me, it had to be against the wishes of Eddie doing something that's right, because Eddie Winters ain't never gonna do nothing wrong, brother.
Well, my position in my meeting with Eddie Winters, Harold, is I didn't know who the young man was. He was an officer, and he come over and introduced himself, and he was an ardent fan of mine out on the street, true story. And I didn't know who he was, and he introduced himself, and he liked what I was doing, and me and him became good and great friends. And I remember when he made sergeant, then I seen him down at headquarters, he was a lieutenant. I'm looking at him and laughing, and we laughing together. And he was always respectful. And no matter how high he went, he never got that high that he couldn't address me because he respected me. He didn't play that ball stuff with me. And you're absolutely correct in your recommendation of what you just said about him, because Eddie Winters, remember, they made him the state representative for a short time, and he come and told me when they got rid of the other guy for Jesse White. And Eddie Winters still live over there by Crane. He's a fantastic human being. Nobody in the community over there where he moved and he bought the house could say anything bad about this guy, no matter where he go, because he ain't going to do nothing bad. You're not going to even talk to him about nothing bad. And all he going to do, Harold, is put you on his back and carry you and get you the help you need.
I got a text from somebody in Harvey saying that Eddie wouldn't promote the people that the mayor wanted. Y'all saw that big drug raid out there where he had them trucks out there last week, right?
Yeah.
He had them armored trucks.
Yeah.
Those SWAT team trucks at a drug house it was on the news.
Those battering rams.
And so, but man, I don't know, but I know what kind of brother this is, man. And he loved black people. And for him to take that sister out of that house before anybody got there, before anybody knew, he never said publicly that it was Diane Burns. He never said that to anybody.
Is he going back to the Chicago Police Department?
I don't know, T.
Man, that's a damn shame,
I don't know.
man.
There's a texter wants me to ask you, TC. Say, ask TC, should you honor your mother and father if they rape you or sell you sex trades like what happened to their friend? Well, I wouldn't think you honor your mother and father if they sell you in sex. I don't think you do that.
Well, you have to ask that.
Remember the next verse say, fathers don't provoke your children.
Right. That's the part they don't read. They don't miss that.
That was a good question, and I love that question. If your father and mother had you by mistake and they took you to the abortion clinic, they didn't have enough money to get the abortion, so they had you, and so they said, well, let me make money off of you. That's not what we're talking about. And you're absolutely right. Those are what they call different circumstances. We're talking about a gentleman that was raised right, and his parents stayed there with him. His parents didn't have to do what they wanted to do. Parents do what they can afford to do, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of times parents, me and the young lady was talking before the show, a lot of times, like she said, we didn't even know we were poor. See, we get away from what is taught to us because other people come in and they teach you bad habits. You don't learn bad habits. You've been taught bad habits. You don't even know which hand you're going to write with until somebody put the pen in your hand, and if you put it in another hand, they hit your hand. I mean, if you really want to start us teaching lesson here, but on this show, Harold don't want us to teach y'all everything because he says then y'all become robots, and we already got enough robots. All we got to do is watch TV. They tell you on the damn commercial, when you see a pop or a juice or a pill, they say, go take this. It's going to make you a better man. Ain't no damn pill going to make you no damn better man. So my thing of it is, you know, to answer your question in the whole, no, that those are not the kind of parents we're talking about honoring. But anyway, let's take the first call.
Yes, sir.
Caller, you on the air.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, young man.
Hey, I don't know if y'all mentioned it. Did you see about when the news reporter the lady was reporting about the incident with Kobe Bryant?
The LA niggas.
Yeah. I'm surprised y'all ain't brought that up.
No, that was on the thing, you know. You know, it says, matter of fact, she works for MSNBC, and she said the Los Angeles niggas, and she said she was trying to say Lakers and Knicks, but Kobe didn't play for anybody but the Lakers.
Right.
So no, she couldn't.
But you know what it was? You know what it was, brother?
Yeah.
That's how she referred to them in the private.
Yes, sir.
That's all it was. She said that
she
called them the LA niggas.
It's called the oops.
She called them the Los Angeles niggas in private.
Right.
And it slipped out.
Right.
You know, so it ain't nowhere in the world.
Yeah.
That's how she refers to them in private.
Yes, sir.
That's all.
That's how she felt.
Hey, one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't had the time yet, but it's supposed to be an animated cartoon out.
Yeah. It came out in 2016. Yeah.
You saw that?
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. Yeah, it came out in 2016, where it shows him crashing in a cartoon, but he's looking for his trophies or something. He's like, got these trophies out. I'm where my trophies at or something. What you say?
Rings.
Yeah.
Oh, it's rings.
Where'd you
rings.
see it at,
Say rings.
I ain't saw it yet. Where'd you see it at?
Somebody sent it to me yesterday. Yeah, Patrick, it's out there, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's
I want y'all to find that.
Yeah, try to just put Kobe. Just put Kobe in cartoon. It just pop right up.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, they say that might have been prophesied or somebody set up. We don't know what's going on.
We don't know, man. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, Prince ended up dead. Talking about his masters. Mm-hmm. Michael ended up dead. Mm-hmm. You know, with these people from Sony. Mm-hmm. You know, so
they've been killing us about that.
I don't know. I don't see Kobe being a John Carlos or Muhammad Ali or Kurt Flood. I mean, I wouldn't put him in that category. But what I would say is that his trainer said that his body wasn't he wasn't blessed with this muscular body. Mm-hmm. He said that this boy worked harder than everybody. Mm-hmm. And so, he said that you could not beat his work ethic. Mm-hmm. And so that's what really made him so. He probably could have played a couple more years. Mm-hmm. Look at LeBron. Yeah. LeBron is 36. Mm-hmm. LeBron playing like he's 22 years old. Yeah. But they work ethic. Dwayne Wade, the work ethic. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan, the work. I mean, the problem is these guys smoking weed all day because their games don't come on at 7 o'clock at night, and so they getting high. They ain't in nobody's gym. You know, they may go work out here and there, but I don't. The ones that are great. Yeah. I mean, it's the work. I mean, Walter Payton's work ethic.
Yes, sir.
Was second to none.
Beast mode.
And everybody that said Kobe, that said if you really wanted to be like him, once you saw him, he called his workout the blackout, that he would basically make you pass out. Mm-hmm. And so the work ethic is what made him great. I mean, they say he wasn't blessed with a lot of physical, ability, but he worked harder than everybody.
Worked hard.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna say one more thing on that, and then we'll get off. Mm-hmm. They say all the white folks been praising Kobe. You still got some sick white folks.
The minute he died or was pronounced dead, she brought up the story with the white girl that he allegedly raped
at the hotel.
She from the Washington Post. She reposted the story.
Yes, sir.
I mean, so that's why it's always best to just. You don't have to apologize for who you are. It's always best to stay who you are and stay with the people where you come from. That way, when people start, making all of these, cracking these jokes and posts and stuff, I mean, at the end of the day, just stay with your people.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. They don't know no better. These young folks out here south thinking you see them up and down the street with these white girls. They just won't leave them alone.
Yeah, I'm gonna get off. All right, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Next caller. Caller, you on the air. Caller, you on the air.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi. Great topic, and I just want to briefly say, I was very it's very sad, to hear about his early demise. However, I just say this. I tell my children the same thing. They're adult children now, but be careful who you marry. The bloodlines, I even had to learn a lot of that stuff. The Holy Spirit had to teach me, because of my own experience. So now I share to help other people as well, But, you have some nationalities, some Hispanics, their bloodline, sometimes they made a covenant with the devil. The marine demon, the demonic spirits in the sea. Okay, and so it's the same thing. It's worshiping the devil. He has different sectors. But it's still the devil. Okay, they have different covenants with them, and so just to come over here to America, they will sell their soul. So you have some black folks who do the same thing. So it's not just one nationality, but at the same time, you have some black people that feel like, okay, well, I want, they want the riches, they want the wealth, and they figure like, okay, God's not giving it to them soon enough, quick enough. So they feel like, okay, well, and part of the rebellion is, okay, they're going to sell their soul to the devil in exchange for money, riches, and fame, and the women and all of that. Okay, so what comes with it is, okay, well, when death angel comes, you got to pay up. They got to pay with their soul. They do know that they're going to die. They do know this. And then the person that they marry, whether it's a white person, Hispanic person, or even a black person, if she's involved in that demonic kingdom, it's part of the agreement. Sometimes they'll choose a child, sacrifice or whatever. But the spouses, when they're part of it, sometimes the husband would try to get the wife, or the wife get him, if they both, part of that demonic system. But even like the Kardashians, they're, a lot of these people are not 100% human. Right. They're half demon and half human. They sold their soul. So I just say that just be careful. Check out the bloodline. See if this is what you want or not. And I'm just going to close with that. Great topic.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, sister. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Next caller. Caller, you on there?
Yeah, well,
Oh.
Yep.
Hey, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
How you doing, brother?
I'm calling about the subject about the parents.
About the what?
Huh?
We couldn't hear you. What you say?
I was calling in about the parent thing and about I heard you say that kids supposed to respect their parents, which is true. But our problem in our race, to me, it's just my own opinion. The kid's not the problem; it's the parents. You can't disrespect your baby, talk to them any kind of way. You can't protect them. They go to jail. Look at all the brothers been locked up there illegally. That their parents didn't have no money to go and buy a lawyer. Their parents didn't have enough education to go grab a book to help their baby fight. It ain't the baby's fault. It's the parents' fault for having kids and not being able to protect them. And most kids been to jail or adult. Channel 7 did a survey thing on this. 90% of us been child abused. We come from somewhere in our families where we've been abused that our elders want to cover it up. The grandmama want to cover it up, the uncles, the aunties, the mothers, the fathers. That's why the black race is in the position as far as the kids disrespecting their parents. You can't disrespect the back. You know how many parents out here disrespect their kids out in the street? If you disrespect your kid, it's coming back on you. That kid is going to grow up, because I've been through that. I was kind of disrespected as a baby. And when I got grown enough to attack the people that attacked me when I was a baby, of course I'm going to come and attack you. I'm going to disrespect you in any kind of shape, form, fashion that I can, because you've done that to me. It's going to come back on you parents if you disrespect your kids. That's just the bottom line. Now, maybe your kid may say, well, I love God more than I love, being bad with it. Eventually come back around and say, I love my mother and father, forgive them for what they done. But it's a lot of hurting babies out here because the parents, and you know who get all the heat? The kids do. Because we don't want to get the records. We don't want to have get our lives took because the parents we had, they let us get out in the streets. Well, a lot of parents didn't let their kids down the street because they had kids, when they had some money, was able to take care of the baby properly. I just wanted to say that because there's a lot being blamed on the baby, that the adults get to ride off free in the sunset, and get good jobs. Well, it was the parents' fault that the kids turned out the way it is. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next caller, you're on the air. Before we go back to our subject matter, caller, you on the air?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
How you doing, Red?
What's up, Doctor? How you feeling?
Hey, brother.
What's going on? This is Nate Hansard, man.
Hey, Dr. Nate. What's happening?
Hey, brother Nate.
What's up, TC?
What's happening, man?
I'm good, sir. I got no complaints. You know, I was listening, and it kind of intrigued me because you talked about the conspiracy theory. We talk about the parents. But sometimes we have to talk about the peers, those that are around us, who influence us.
Yes, sir.
And you know, you talked about the children disrespecting the parents, but it also says in Genesis 2:24 that a man will forsake his parents for his wife.
Yes, sir.
How deep do we take that? You know, that's kind of a when you say forsake, that's almost like turning your back on them. So do we really take that to the full example of what it says, or do we take it from the fact that, yes, we love our wife, but we still have to deal with our parents? Those are the ones that brought us into this world. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, Harold said that. You're right, Nate.
You're right, Nate.
See, we get so caught up in the biblical concept, and most of us don't know how to do an exegesis when we break down these terms, and who, you know, revised this Bible, and how did they revise it, and does it fit us, and does it suit our needs as African Americans, Africans, or black folks? You know, you guys are making some great points, and people don't understand that when we become adults, we're the ones that are going to end up having to take care of our parents. So, you know, for us to come on the air and say, well, you know, my parents ain't S, I don't think that's appropriate or proper. But do we really know what was going at the bottom of that? You know, they didn't want him to marry this girl. What made him so intrigued with her? You know, a lot of our stars get caught up in that other race. They see these girls out here dancing, shaking. I mean, look at a lot of athletes right now. They've divorced their black wives, and where did they go?
Yep.
Yeah, you know, when they
Nate.
made that record, I'll start marry a stripper.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
So I got
That was the one you and I talked about, Red. I'm in love with a stripper. What made me fall in love with a stripper? You know, who wants the naked girl for the wife? We're supposed to get the one that's fully clothed.
Yeah, we don't want a lady sitting at home cooking our dinners. We want somebody jumping out the window with their hair on fire.
Yeah. You know, red hair with a thong on, shaking everything for the world to see. You know, I don't know if we really approach life in the proper manner in this day and age, because we've lost our spiritual essence. I'm not a religious guy. I heard you all talk about preachers. I've been preaching for 15 years, been kicked out of a couple of churches because I'm not going to preach what they want me to preach.
right.
You know, if you're going to free a people, you have to get their spirit in tune. Right. You know, religiosity is nothing more than a moral dogma and a totem.
Right.
So we do that with washing our bodies. Why? Because society say you must take a bath. If you don't take a bath, you're going to stink. And if you stink, I don't want to be around you.
Right. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brother Nate.
You know, I don't know. You brothers are doing a great job, man. I just had to call in because it kind of threw me for a loop when people start to talk about this, that, and the other, and they're not really sure of what's going on. And on my last piece, I trained Eddie Winters, TC.
I didn't know that.
Yes, sir. Yeah. He's an exceptional young man.
And, you know, I got some texts, Brother Nate, before you go, or people are saying that he wouldn't do some things that the mayor asked him to do. I'm only speaking from my experience with Eddie. I don't know what happened out there in Harvey. All I know is that this brother did something very noble by not taking that girl to the police station where the media would have been all over it. He took that girl to the rehab. And so that's all I know about Brother Eddie. And I've been knowing Eddie, and he's been that kind of guy since I've been knowing him. But as for what happened in Harvey, I have no idea what happened out there. So
well,
I'm only speaking from my experience with that brother.
The mayor in Harvey has been trying to close all the bars. They have a Pakistani community that's moving in out there.
They already there.
And
They got 2 mosques and 2 schools out there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? He also wants people to be promoted and put in the ranks that are followers.
Right.
You know, Eddie ain't going for that. Eddie's going for the professional.
That's what Harold said. Yeah. Don't be so.
You know, and when you're not professional, I did it for 31 years. I don't want to work with anybody who's not qualified to handle that position.
Right.
Well, let me.
You did your job well, sir.
Thank you, Ed.
So
thank you.
You're not going to put a guy in a car with you that don't know what he's doing.
And he ain't going to be in there. But let me say this, echoing what Harold just said, so people understand very clearly, being from that police perspective. And Hansford, you was there with me. Here it is. Harold said he just hit a dope house out there, so it ain't no scandal. Because if you protecting drugs,
it's a big story. Yeah.
Right? If you protecting drugs, you're not gonna mess up your money line. So evidently, he's out there doing the right thing wherever he was, because they wasn't really. I mean, the feds and the sheriff was trying to take over the Harvey Police Department.
Yeah.
Because of the scandal that's out there.
Yep.
With that mayor. See, it's a lot of things policemen that know won't tell you because it might interrupt an investigation.
Yeah.
But you could tell that the feds was paying close attention to them. And a couple of those guys over the years have been cited for doing illegal stuff out there. Mm-hmm. Eddie went out there. You haven't heard no scandal about him.
Nope.
And we don't need to know what Eddie did. I know if you hired him to do a job, he gonna do the job, right? Because if you didn't do your due diligence, it's not his fault. But one thing about him, he left the police department as a commander to go out there, Harold. Right. So that don't make sense.
No, that don't make sense at all.
Right.
Well, you know, we got to look at the fact that when Eddie made that drug raid, whose toes did he step on?
Yeah, I thought about that too.
You know how the game goes, sir.
That's right.
Somebody else might have had a major investment in that.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
You're right. Hey, man, thanks, man.
Thank you, Dr.
Thanks, Brother Nate. I love you.
You're welcome, Tim. Love you all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Next call.
No, he's straight.
So, did you want to say
you got one more, Harold.
Oh, okay. We got another call? Hello, caller.
Caller, go ahead.
Hey, this is Kirkland.
Hey, Brother
Hey,
Kurt.
Dr. Kurt.
How you doing? They did interview the mayor out there.
Yeah.
And he did admit that he had recommended people to be promoted, and they were not promoted. So it seems to be tied into that. The mayor said he felt as mayor he had the right to tell him who to promote.
Yeah, that's to run the police department, a mayor?
No, it don't work like that. First of all, I understand what you're saying, and we ain't got much time.
No, I'm just saying.
I know what he said.
I don't go along with that.
I know what he said. So in essence, we had that with the Chicago Police Department. Daley's family, here it is, a black man had to take the exam, Harold, and if you had any physical deformities, you couldn't pass. Then you had Cronin, who had his foot blown off, part of his foot blown off in Vietnam. He didn't take the police exam because he couldn't pass the physical, but he was put on the police department. And he was given SOP all the way up. And so most black policemen or white policemen or Spanish policemen that are workers, that got on the job the right way and do the right thing, they look upon them people and have no respect for them. And out there in that field, at any given moment, you got to have them soldiers with you. And how would you take orders from somebody you know that didn't deserve the position that they got over you? So the mayor should have known that, or he should have informed Eddie that was the program before he got there, Harold.
Oh, yeah. I agree. And so Brother Kirk said, but Vanessa's father is Mexican, the mother is Irish. Thank you, Brother Kirk. Yeah.
And just one thing, when death is up on you, it's no way you can get around it. Dory Miller, you all know who Dory Miller was.
Oh yeah.
What they never bring up, the ship he was originally on was the USS Indianapolis. You familiar with the Indianapolis?
Yeah. Wasn't that a carrier?
No. The Indianapolis was a heavy cruiser that delivered the main part to the bomb that was used in Hiroshima, and that was the one that was sunk because they didn't send escorts with it. It was sunk, and they talked about it in the Jaws movie.
Okay.
That was the Indianapolis, sunk in 1945. The reason Dory wasn't on that ship then, he had been sent to gunnery school down in Pearl Harbor and was then attached to the West Virginia. That's how he wound up on the West Virginia when Pearl Harbor was attacked. And after that ship sank, then he was sent to the Lipscomb Bay. The Lipscomb Bay was then sunk in 1943. So it's just when it's your time, it's your time.
Mm-hmm. All righty.
Thanks, Kirk.
Thank you, Brother Kirk.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Right. And so, no more calls. So anyway, Samson, I'm going to talk about probably that tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I was, in the book of Judges, it talks about, let me read this. I got 3 minutes. It says, later on, Judges 15, on the time of the wheat harvest, Samson took a young goat and went to visit his wife. He said, I'm going to my wife's room, but the father wouldn't let him in. I was so sure she hated you, the father said, that I gave her to your friend. Isn't the younger girl more attractive? Take her instead. Samson then said, this time I have a right to get even with you Philistines. I will harm you for real. So he went out and caught 300 foxes. I don't know how you catch 300 foxes. And tied them by their tails in pairs. He then fastened a torch to every one of their tails, lit the torches, and let the foxes loose in the standing grain fields of the Philistines. He burned up the shocks and standing grain together with all the vineyards and olive groves burnt down. When the Philistines said, who did this? They were told Samson, and said that because his wife was given to his companion. So the Philistines went up and burned her and her daddy to death. Samson said to them, since you acting like this, I swear I ain't going to stop till I get you. He attacked them viciously and slaughtered many of them. Then he went down and stayed in a cave in the rock of Etam. The Philistines went up and camped in Judah, spreading out near Lehi. The people of Judah asked, why have you come to fight us? We have come to take Samson prisoner, they answered. Do you know what he did to us? Then 3,000 men from Judah went down to the cave of the rock of Etam and said to Samson, don't you realize that the Philistines are rulers over us? What have you done to us? He answered, I merely did to them what they did to me. Then they said to him, we've come to tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines. Samson said, swear to me you won't kill me yourselves. Agreed, they answered. We will only tie you up and hand you over to them. We will not kill you. So they bound him in 2 new ropes and led him up the rock. As he approached Lehi, the Philistines came toward, shouting, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. The ropes in his arms became like charred flax, and the bindings dropped from his hands. Finding a fresh jawbone of a donkey, he grabbed it and struck down 1,000 men. With one donkey's jawbone, he killed 1,000 men. When he was finished speaking, he went away with the jawbone, and the place called Ramath Lehi. Because he was thirsty, he cried out to the Lord, you've given me, your servant, this great victory. Must I now die of thirst and fall in the hands of the uncircumcised Philistines? Then God opened up a hollow place in Lehi, and the water came out of it. Samson drank, his strength returned, and he was revived. So the spring was called Aaron Hakkor, and it is still there in Lehi. Samson led Israel for 20 years in the days of the Philistines.
Okay, so, we're going to finish that tomorrow.
We'll finish that tomorrow, but Samson went off, man. I don't know how you catch 300 foxes, though. I don't know how you do that. And tie them all together and then burn down their fields after you torch their tails. Yeah. It might have been some mad people, really. They got a lot of coats out of them foxes, man. But his father, they were totally against him marrying a Philistine. Yeah. And they told him, they said, remember Nehemiah, they said he pulled the hair out of the Israelites for marrying outside of the race. Yeah. So he was so mad he pulled their hair out. Yeah. And then Amos spoke about it. Yeah. About marrying foreigners, and he said that they got so bad, Dr. Hammond, that Amos said the kids didn't even know who they were. Right. The kids walking around saying, "Well, I'm so, I'm this," and so Amos. So all through the Bible, there's studies about marrying outside.
That's right.
Of your race. It seems to be a penalty for that.
Yes, sir. A bad omen.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, at the end of the day,
a little bit of the ghetto gospel.
Yeah, that's it. We'll finish this tomorrow.